So the update for Spider Slayer Tier 5 is actually released on the main server. It's time to see what it's like. It was on the alpha server for an extensive period of time, meaning that most of you already know the drill, but it's time to see how it's integrated into the main server. I think first of all, the patch notes are a good place to start, and I'll leave this links in the description. We of course know that they've reworked all the other tiers of Tarantula Slayer, not just added a tier 5, which is pretty cool to see. And basically from tier 1 to 5, the bosses have one extra ability. So tier 1 has one ability, tier 2 has the tier 1 ability and a new ability, tier 3 has tier 2's abilities and a new ability, and so on until we get to the tier 5, which has 5 abilities. Let's be honest, most people are going to be most interested in the tier 5 Slayer. The boss has 10,000 HP and does 3,500 damage. Backstab occasionally leaps behind you and attacks you from behind, dealing plus 150 damage. Bro has a livid dagger in his hand. Reduces your healing by 100% and inflicts a stacking 10% debuff or minus 10% debuff to your speed cap every 5th time you get damaged. Spews webbing along the ground, disabling teleportation abilities until they are cleared. Also spawns 3 egg sacs, break them before they hatch at 66% and 33% health. Becomes immune to magic damage for the rest of the fight and releases a horde of bats. Take 2% of max health as damage per second for each bat alive, starting at 66% health. Upon initial death, calls out to the primordial brood mother, who will awaken and fuse with brood father, creating the primordial brood. That is a tongue twister. The brood has 2 times health and damage of the primordial brood father, but always uses passive abilities. Basically, in other words, the tier 5 is a chunky boy, however, should be still relatively easy to kill. Now you would think that introducing a new Slayer means that there's probably new armor, new weapons, new pets, and of course new RNG drops. And there is a lot. Let's get to that in just a moment. But before we do, if you are planning on purchasing anything from the Hypixel store, make sure to use code NITROS, it gets yourself 5% off. You should join the Discord server, it's linked in the description of this video. We offer Slayers and Dungeon carries, so if you need carries or want to carry and make some coins, make sure to join. You should also subscribe to the channel if you're not already. New items. And there's a little note here that seems to confirm that they're kind of going ahead with what they said they were going to do on the alpha. Please note we are aware of just how much Spider Slayer RNG meter XP some players have stockpiled over the years. While we will not be removing any meter XP from players, we will also not allow for the new chase items to be redeemed in the RNG meter for a little while after release of this update. That makes perfect sense. Anyway, Spider Slayer 6 items. Tarantula Fang, a new upgrade to the Recluse Fang. 130 damage, 40 strength, 30 crit damage. Deal 200% damage and gain 45 combat wisdom against spiders. Ability, this weapon can be used to clear out webs. So basically, it's all just, you know, like you would with any other Slayer. Weapons that upgrade into the Sting, which is now the best weapon for Spider Slayer, which is cool. Vial of Venom, a consumable that can be ingested up to 5 times for a total of plus 5 crit damage. You probably get Skyblock XP for this too. I can't remember if you do from the alpha, but I guess we'll find out. Spider Slayer 7 items. Shriveled Bracelet. Handy bracelet that proves useful to players in the Spider's Den. Gives you plus 10 strength, 15% crit damage. Grants plus 10 magic find and 5 combat wisdom while in the Spider's Den. Which sounds really good. However, from my understanding on the alpha, there wasn't a new spider area in the new Spider's Den. Meaning that most people are still going to be doing Spider Slayer in the Crimson Isles, which means that you wouldn't even gain this buff, which seems a bit pointless. An upgrade to Tarantula Armor that increases its base stats and ability, and of course that's the Primordial Armor, which to be honest looks really cool. And the stats are pretty decent too. On the helmet, it's giving you 10 crit damage, 120 health, 100 defense, 100 intelligence. Of course you've got a tiered bonus, like you do for most armor sets like this. Every 3rd strike deal plus 50% damage and apply venom, reducing healing by 10% for 4 seconds, which is good. And of course you can accumulate a lot of survivability with more kills on the armor set. For Spider Slayer level 8, we've got the Sting, which is what I was talking about, which is the final Slayer weapon. This is going to give you 150 base damage, 60 strength and 40% crit damage. You deal 250% damage to spiders and gain 45 combat wisdom, which is good. Really good. I'm glad this isn't, got any caveats. And of course you can cut through the webs that it's put on the floor. Attacks from this sword will always be critical strikes, which is okay, but most people already have a 100% crit chance. All in all, it's a strong weapon and it's probably what everyone's going to be using. I don't see what else you would really be using. The Prime model, this is a belt, so this is another piece of equipment. It's given 15 strength, 20% crit damage, which is pretty good. And the ability when killing a Slayer boss or Slayer mini-boss, have a 10% chance to cocoon them. Cocooned enemies will quickly hatch and can be killed again, which basically means you don't have to go through the process of spawning the boss again because it instantly spawns the boss back. Pretty cool. That's probably going to be quite expensive, I would assume. At Tarantula Slayer 9, you can now get a tier 12 Tarantula minion, which I guess is cool. It's just more XP. There's also a lot more changes to Tarantula Slayer. The Tarantula pet now receives a buff using Tarantula leggings. Of course, the Mosquito bow is now the Mosquito short bow, and it's relatively comparable to a Juju. I guess there's a lot of other things that have probably been chopped and changed as well. Damage reduction fixes. When it came to damage reduction, some items were working in strange and mysterious ways. The most notable issue is being able to stack 100% damage resistance to get full damage immunity. No fear no more, for they have been corrected. Interesting. And I guess just quite a few bug fixes. So that's that. Let's try to kill this spider. Right, so first we need to try and get these new items, especially the armor and the sting. So we need to upgrade our Tarantula armor. And it looks like to upgrade every piece into Prime Model from Tarantula, we need a stack of Tarantula Silk and then also 6 enchanted iron blocks and a Tarantula Catalyst. Cool, let's see. So no doubt I've probably just lost a lot of money crafting this armor now. What have I paid? Just over 100 mil to upgrade this armor set. Still a lot cheaper than buying it off the AH. Also, I don't know why I bought 5 Tarantula Catalysts, I only needed 4. Anyway, there we go, that's our first piece crafted. The chestplate, leggings, and the boots. Cool. Yeah, sure, let's put some gemstones in as well. Not perfects, you know, I'm still trying to be a bit stingy. Yeah, I'm trying to be a bit stingy and I just accidentally bought the slot. I thought I'd already unlocked it. Oh, I accidentally put perfects in this one. Oh, I was supposed to be saving money at the moment. This has kind of thrown a spanner in the works, I can't lie. Alright, well, we're dripped out, I guess. Kind of. Not really. Right, well, it's time to get a sting, one way or another. Sure, we already have a Tarantula Fang. Surely. Surely. Obviously we don't have a Tarantula Fang, because it's a new sword as well. I think I'm a bit cooked in that sense. Yeah, to be honest, I really couldn't be bothered to try and find it in the museum, so I guess I just bought one. Right, well, there's the Tarantula Fang. I might see how we go on with the Tarantula Fang, and then if the sting drops in price a bit, maybe then upgrade to it and see what the difference is. Because I just don't want to waste so much money because that sting's going to drop in price like a stone. Also, I don't know if it'll still be same when the video comes out, but this is a great flip at the moment. I paid 6 mil for the Catalyst, 3 mil for the Tarantula Soap, put that together. What, 6, 3.5, 9.5 mil on the AH, it's time for 14, 15 mil. I mean, that's 50% profit. That's going to dissipate pretty quickly though. Okay, we're upgrading our Tarantula Fang, and of course we want our Ensnared Snail on it, because that is going to basically increase our Bane of Arthropods level. Probably overpay at the moment, but I don't really care too much. Yeah, there's also always a debate between Fabled and Withered. Yeah, I'm not sure really what the right answer is. But we're going to have a ton of crit damage, so maybe Withered is actually a good idea. Right, well, we'll see how we do with this sword. And I guess if we're struggling, we can always upgrade it to the sting if we need to. Right, I'm not buying this shriveled bracelet at the moment. The craft cost is expensive. This shriveled wasp is still expensive because it's still a new Slayer. And it's 45 mil, and it's going to drop like so much. So I don't think there's any point in buying it for that much, because I'm just going to lose even more money. And also, the buffs, 10 strength, 15 crit damage, are okay, which we could probably get from maybe a different bracelet. I'm not 100% sure, maybe that's not true. But the main buffs for this are going to be gained in the Spider's Den, which is not where we're going to be doing Spider Slayer. So, yeah. Well, I don't think so anyway. And yeah, the Primordial. The craft cost is going to be what, like 300 mil at the moment? Probably no, more. Probably slightly more than 300 mil. But we're just going to have to go with our regular equipment. Even though this would be kind of cool to test, but not now. It's too expensive. Trying to work out what the best damaging equipment is to use nowadays, considering attributes obviously don't make a difference and don't exist. Well, they don't exist in the way that they did. Maybe this would be it, with better reforges. I don't know why I have a sponge belt there. That's a bit confusing. Now what we can do real quick is this in the museum. I've got to try and find it. Yeah, and we can put our armor in the museum too. Cool. Alright, now we can finally start a quest. Alright, Tarantula tier 5, let's go. Is it Aatrox now as well? Wow, what a day. Hello? Alright, this area has now ascended into absolute chaos, I can't lie. I can't even find any spiders to kill, bruh. Now what I will say is, with the Primordial Armor's lack of damaging stats, if we look, it's basically all just defense in terms of base stats. You actually don't really end up dealing a whole lot of damage. If we look on one hit, here I'm dealing 652k damage, which is to be desired. If we switch to my Crimson, you know, we can one-hit the spiders, we're dealing a ton more damage, of course, because of the swipe and so on. But the Primordial Armor is going to be the equivalent, I guess, to Final Destination Armor for Enderman Slayer, which is obviously going to help with survivability. Okay, our boss has spawned. Let's see what we can do to it. Okay. Guess we've done our little damaging phase. Now we can break all of the string. Cool. Let's get rid of all the string. Nice. We need to try and break the eggs. What do we have to hit the boss more? I think we have to try and break these, right? Yeah. Still a little bit confused. Even though I've read what I'm supposed to do, still a little bit difficult to grasp it, not gonna lie. So when it goes into its phases, you really want to try and break the eggs, because if you don't break the eggs then it spawns spiders that can deal a lot of damage. So I would say definitely try and break the eggs before they hatch, because it's quite annoying otherwise, to be completely honest. Anyway, there we go. It is relatively easy. I don't really know what I'm doing, and I did it with pretty much ease. Granted, I guess I do have the setup for it. You don't need the sting though to do it. You just don't. It's probably overkill at the moment, and it's going to waste you a lot of money. Now what we can do is take a look through some of the items that you can drop here. So of course we've got the Tarantula Catalyst that we've used in a few of the recipes, which is decent money at the moment. We've also got the Vial of Venom, which is going to be a little bit of money too. Not really too difficult to get. It is a Pray to RNGesus drop, but these tarantulas I guess will go relatively quickly. The Shriveled Wasp, once again, I mean that's getting a bit more rare. The Ensnared Snail. Once again, I mean, it's already relatively cheap for the rarity. And the Primordial Eye is obviously going to be the big one that everybody wants to drop. It's what you need in order to craft the Sting, and I think looks to be a similar rarity to something like a Warden Heart. So yeah, cool. That is over 200 mil at the moment, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, if you are struggling to survive in spiders, in that tier 5 spider slayer, I think the main thing that's killing you is probably the spiders that spawn from the eggs. So as soon as you can, make sure you break all of the string, then go up and go and hit all of the eggs as many times as you can to break them before the spiders spawn. And if you can do that, then you're not going to take anywhere near as much damage. And something else to note as well is this Primordial Armor does have a similar stacking ability to like Final Destination does with Enderman, whereby the more spiders you kill, the more defense you gain. So the more you use the armor, the better it's going to be for survivability. So keep that in mind. Because, you know, it's going to scale and get better over time. But all in all, I'm a huge, huge fan of this update. I think, personally, for me, it's one of the best updates they've released if we disregard the foraging update, just purely because I think it's pretty well thought out, considering that not only have they added a new Slayer tier, they've also changed and updated and modernized the rest of the Slayer. There's so much new content, there's so many things to do. We've got new armor, we've got updates to, for instance, like the Tarantula pet, we've got new weapons. It's just, I just think it is quite good. And also, like a lot of new items that have gone into the loot pool that makes Tarantula Slayer more lucrative. It's what was needed. And I hope we see a similar thing done to Wolf Slayer to follow suit, to modernize that, and also make that more competitive with the rest. Anyway, let me know what you think of this update in the comments. In my opinion, yeah, it's really cool. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.